is flowing faster now. I'm searching though I don't know how. There was a time I used to know. I lost my bearings long ago. And all this time, well, it's my imagination, my fading inspiration that dances in my mind. And it's a crime, oh, that my imagination, my own interpretation should lead me down this road, and I know where to go. To find my travels as you can.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, all those who are fans of both the Arvanauts channel and Speculate, the podcast that I've been running for many years with my good friend Mike Underwood. Before that, Brad Bollier, but Mike Underwood now. And welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of Blades in the Dark, the Cindered Seal. I am very happy to be hosting this event, as I have been doing over the last few months. This has been a really fun crew, and I hope you folks are looking forward to some good, fun times with creatures that are absolutely made of meat and that in no way whatsoever are reflective of any other, possible kind of makeup or consistency. If you don't know what I'm talking about, get ready to sit down and watch some of this stuff. It's going to be great. Before we get there, I do want to just remind people about a couple of things. I want to remind everybody about the stream and how to support us here on the channel. First of all, this is a joint Speculate and Twitch channel event. So on the Speculate side, please type in !Speculate, which will give you details about the Speculate podcast, which does a lot of these actual play events and also has some special events that are done just for Patreon supporters. If you type in that Speculate event, and in fact, I think it's that. Yep. If you type in that event, you will see the listing there, which is speculateSF.com is the website, and the Patreon for us is patreon.com/speculate. And I hope you will consider going over there and supporting that Patreon, because not only will you be able to get access to some episodes which are made exclusively for Speculate Patreon supporters, but you'll also be helping support us. We want to be able to broaden this out. It really helps us with editing costs and things like that. And so all of that would be made a lot easier for if the Patreon continues to go up over there. So please consider supporting us there. So that's the Speculate side of things. And we're very grateful to our audio listeners for that, and to the amazing Rudy Basso, who is the person who does the editing for us as well. But then we also, of course, are doing this on my channel. And so this channel can be supported by following us here, checking out the YouTube with !ArvTube, the Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets. Please retweet this stream if you haven't done so already. That is always appreciated. You can find out the schedule for all of what's going on, plus details about that on my website, arvaneleron.com. On the financial side of things, !ArvShop is the merchandise area where you can get stuff for my Infinity and Beyond and Adventures in Middle-earth campaigns. And soon, also, we'll be gathering some material and information for Espergenesis, which hopefully is going to be going up on that shop as well. So we've got that going on. In addition to that, we also have !ArvTreon. That is my personal Patreon. I won't talk a lot about that today, except to say that that also helps the channel quite a bit. So, and you can get cool stuff for yourself that's unique to the channel and to my individual writing. So please consider jumping over there and supporting if you can. And subbing to the channel is something you can do by hitting that sub button right underneath the video window. What's up, Burner? Thank you. Right underneath the video window, and that is that sub button right there, which will allow you to get custom sub badges and emotes and stuff like that. Now, the other thing that I want to mention for this, I'm actually going to go on camera here for just a moment. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of, where are we, that, and then I'm going to turn on that. There we go. What's going on, everybody? You'll notice I don't have my lights on or any kind of fancy stuff today because I am not the star of this show today. We are going to be handing it over in just a moment to the Blades in the Dark crew. But before I do that, I do want to make one announcement for those who might have missed it. July 18th, so 2 weeks from yesterday, Saturday the 18th, we are going to have a set of author panels. I'm going to be announcing announcing the participants on those panels and the titles of those panels. Somewhere around between noon and 1 p.m. Eastern is when we're planning to start those, and we'll have a set of those panels that will be talking about various aspects of speculative fiction, and it'll definitely be worth your while to check out. This is going to be interesting. We'll be doing them on Zoom. We'll be taking some questions from the virtual audience and all that kind of good stuff. So that's going to be awesome. Then that evening at 8 p.m. on July the 18th, Saturday, July the 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have a special D&D event. This D&D event is going to be to benefit charity. I almost know exactly what the charity is going to be, but we do need one other person to weigh in and make sure that that's the charity they want to support. But assuming they do, then I will be announcing the charity and some more details about that coming up in the next couple of days. But we will be having a D&D event at 8 p.m. Eastern with Will Sobel, who is Green Ronin's Director of Sales, Marketing, and Licensing. He is also a game designer. He contributed to Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is my 5e adventure sourcebook, and sourcebook. And he is going to be DMing the intrepid crew, the intrepid author crew of Carlos Hernandez, who should need no introduction to regular watchers of this channel, Sarwat Chadha, Kwame Mbalia, Yunha Lee, Taylor K. Mejia, and the incredible Rick Riordan, all of whom will be playing as authors in this unique and sort of exclusive Twitch D&D event, all to benefit charity. So it's going to be really, really exciting, a very big event for the channel, as you can imagine, so I'm pretty pumped up about it, and so that's why I'm announcing it now, and you'll probably hear me announce it again, because too bad, because I'm excited, because it's a great thing, and I'm pumped up about it. But that is what is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. For right now, though, we have got an incredible crew, and I'm going to hand things over as a consequence. I see that they're laughing, which means it's a perfect time for me to jump in. I apologize for interrupting whoever I'm interrupting because I can't hear you yet. But I see that you're laughing, which is a good sign. And that means that we can move over right now to show you the incredible Blades in the Dark crew. And so, as per usual, I am going to allow very quickly my partner in crime, Mike, to say hi, to introduce Brandon. And then Brandon will introduce the rest of the crew. And I will shut the hell up now that I've squeed about this awesome event that's happening in a couple weeks, but also squeeing about these amazing players too. So I'm looking forward to this. And Mike, my friend, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, viewers and listeners, to Speculate, the Case of the Cindered Seal, presented by twitch.tv/ArvanEleron and Speculate. I am Michael R. Underwood, the co-host with Greg Wilson, who is doing production for us. Thank you, Greg, and hosting on Twitch. So this is a actual play show with John Harper's Blades in the Dark, as run by Brandon O'Brien. Brandon, since you're GMing, would you like to say hello to everyone and start us in the recap and getting going?
Yes. Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Case of the Cindered Seal. I hope you didn't miss us. We missed playing this, in part because it's been a very intense month for us all. The world still soldiers on in its very intense energy, and I'm glad to be able to find some distracting energy for us all in this game. Before we begin, I would like to remind everybody that !BLM in the chat will bring up a handful of very useful resources if anybody wants to continue contributing to the Black Lives Matter movement. Just because it may be quiet in some circles doesn't mean that the movement does not soldier on in earnest, and they still require as much of our energy and as much of our attention as possible. And with that, I think we should get right into introductions, starting with Mike.
Sure thing. So I'm Michael R. Underwood, one of the co-hosts on Speculate. I have a found family, space opera, Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy, Firefly kind of adventure-y story coming out July 21st that is called Annihilation Aria. And I have a Patreon with essays and noodlings about RPGs and various fun things. And folks can find me on Twitter at Mike R. Underwood and on michaelrunderwood.com. I am playing Ring Dalmore, who is a fairly beleaguered spider playbook character who is a traumatized war veteran who has collected a motley crew of people that they're trying to keep alive while we figure out what the hell is going on in Duskwall. And that's me.
Okay. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, I am Jeoi Gawain Lin, pronouns he, him, or they, them. I'm the one who is playing Crossroads, who, despite the events of last session, will still maintain that it is made of meat. It's just highly compressed meat right now. Yeah, so I will continue attempting to maintain that status in this next session.
Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, she, her, Clarion West class of 17. Fiction in Apex, reviews in Strange Horizons. I am currently in the Clarion West Write-a-thon. You can sponsor me at clarionwest.org/members/Iori Kusano. And I highly encourage everyone to buy my silence, where for the low, low price of $200, you can make me stop tweeting for any day you want.
But I love your tweets.
I mean, same. But I would definitely recommend people contribute to that. And next, Valerie.
Hi, I am Valerie Valdes. This is Wash. You won't leave me alone right now. I'm the author of Chilling Effect and the forthcoming Prime Deceptions, which will be out in September. Also, Found Family Space Opera. Mike and I are doing an author event at the end of the month, July 29th. Details on my Twitter, Valerie Valdes with an S. And that's about it.
Okay. And to reintroduce myself, I'm Brandon O'Brien, the GM of this game, who's responsible for digging holes that lead into bat caves. And with that, I would like to immediately get into the, today's session of the Case of the Cindered Seal by starting with a recap in which our intrepid Hull Crossroads discovers a secret base built by Runa Casper in the hollowed floor of the local cemetery. Introduces the rest of the team to said bat cave, emerges from the bat cave to light a policeman on fire, and then retreats to the bat cave. Which is literally the shortest description I can give of that last session. In which we have also now found ourselves in the precarious position of not only being responsible for hurting another police officer, but potentially accidentally revealing to the entire team that Crossroads is actually a metal bird-beaked thing that is probably not made of meat at all.
There's some meat in me.
No, those were mushroom empanadas.
I guess. But
Mushrooms are fun guys, so technically, if the guys are meat, then there is meat in Crossroads.
Okay, that's quite an argument. But we're going to start today's session just rewinding a little bit to that moment when Crossroads has this blue coat in its grasp and turns it into pure heat and light in front of the entire team. And in that moment, I would like Ash Ferros to think about and answer some questions for me. In particular, what is your relationship with your Severosi family?
Not fantastic, especially given the terms under which she just bailed.
Okay.
If the traveling company was a corporate company, this could have been an amiable parting of ways with both sides saying, we're a bad culture fit. It turns out that when you're a bad culture fit for your entire family's way of life, and everything about the traditional life way just really aggravates the hell out of your anxiety. And maybe you steal a horse and ride off very early one morning
Okay.
and don't talk to your family again, like, ever. You know, I'd say it's tense.
Tense is indeed a word. Very euphemistic, even I'd wager. Would you consider your parents to be highly superstitious persons, and would you agree about yourself?
I think superstitious is a really loaded way to describe, you know, a religion practiced by heritage,
Mhm.
especially a religion which is not the dominant religion in Duskfall.
Mhm.
But I would say that one of the reasons Ash had so many problems with anxiety was because she took her responsibilities on the spiritual level as well as the physical one pretty seriously.
Okay. Um, all of this is very interesting to me. It is valuable information because it takes us now to that moment of that scene where all of you are now looking forward at Crossroads. Um, Clothes torn by the heat and light of melting a human with pure electroplasm, revealing only a giant metal bird head haloed by pure white light, um, which you immediately link back to a very strong spiritual image in Severosi culture. What do you remember about that image? I'm going to let you frame that for yourself in any way that you wish.
It's pretty normal in Severosi culture to have the various gods and powerful spirits with humanoid bodies and animal heads, similar to this world's Egyptian imagery.
Mhm.
So even though Crossroads has like broken a clock in her house and so forth, which, by the way, this has given her a lot more context about, Ash does have a little trouble with that instinctive flash of like, did I just see God?
Yeah. I'm also going to say then, for the purposes of that framing, that the image that you see is actually one of the more strongly related images of not so much a trickster god, but a god who constantly emerges within tense situations and often makes tense situations even more complicated. Um, how does that make you feel?
Well, the thing is, the Severosi have about 5 different gods that are associated with death,
Mm-hmm.
like just for death.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't one of them. So comparatively, on the scale of which god did I just see, Ash is still having an okay day. Not a good one, but it's still meeting the threshold of tolerable.
Duly noted. Um, and with that information, very like squarely aware in your brain, we return to the scene of you all running back towards the statue at the docks, falling back into the hole that leads to the Batcave, um, redressing Crossroads as you try to reconsider what problems you have now caused. Um, Crossroads, you now realize that you're now being redressed, that there are like charred bits of Runa's photo that are stuck to you. That the letter that Runa wrote to you like is like literally still smoking. as it light flutters against your chassis. And now you're all in the Batcave, ready to consider what your next move is. What is your next move?
Stress eat.
Nice.
Crossroads has the distinct feeling that something extremely important has been destroyed as it notices the photograph and the letter kind of disintegrating into bits of ash. Crossroads doesn't know this, but I know this, in that two plot relevant things are now in less than stellar condition. So I'm going, oh no. Crossroads is going, oh no, for sentimental reasons.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to actually add, by the way, that one of the bits of the photo that have been burned is just enough of your face, it's of your former body, that it can no longer be adequately recognized by anyone who would have known you before you became a Hull, but not so much that they can't tell that that was another person there.
Okay, so they can tell I was meat in that photo.
Yes, they can tell
Okay.
that you were meat.
Okay, there's just like a hand doing a peace sign or something.
But now it's much harder for someone to be able to tell who you were.
Okay.
Yikes.
Anyone else have any other thoughts or questions?
So currently I'm wearing Scully's coat, and I kind of have Ash's coat flung in front of my body, I guess. Because I
Yes.
remember Ash also took off her coat.
Yes, because she was not thinking about the part where like her shoulders are considerably smaller than Crossroads. So she's thrown her coat on it and her coat can in no way cover it. I imagine Crossroads might be using it as like an apron at this point.
Crossroads is using it as a fancy the side cloak thing. It's just standing there really awkwardly like,
Okay. I'm pretty sure when we ended that last session that it was still like roughly evening-ish. So probably not ideal time to do anything now, but I guess we can ask questions about what you would like to do between now and the morning.
So Ring has lots
Ash's
of questions.
oh no!
Love it a lot of Ring asked a lot of questions.
The spider, of course, has questions.
Yep.
You spiders, you.
And I think Ring presents it as, so I have a lot of questions, but I know that this has to be very hard. And if I'm understanding correctly, things have probably been hard for you for some amount of time. And none of this changes the fact that I want to help.
Ring is
But-
talking to Crossroads?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it would be useful if we could talk about some things. But it will only work if you want to talk back.
Crossroads kind of takes Ash's coat and tries to hide behind it very slowly, because if it moves too fast, Ring will smell fear. And then
He can do that.
and then Crossroads looks at Skelly, like visibly turning head.
So I'm not the person to be afraid of, is the first thing maybe.
Yeah, they don't like talking. So, yeah.
You know, I think we exploded the person who we should have been afraid of. So at this point, anything goes, really.
I'm not sure if that's how that works, but still.
I guess maybe the most pertinent question, Crossroads, is, do you think the people who are after you, do you think they know what your life is? Like, do they know the thing that you were hiding?
Crossroads sweats and says, What am I hiding?
Ash leans over to Skelly and just whispers in her ear, "Are we all avoiding the H word?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha.
Were you in the war, Crossroads? How did your life become the way that it is now?
Crossroads thinks about it and tries to remember. Should I do a roll for remembering? Because I know I left
You
the
should.
entire. I left the entire circumstances of how I became a whole up to Brandon. So
And I'm similarly leaving it up to both you and Chance. So I guess we should definitely roll for it. What do you think we should roll?
with a what roll?
I was going to ask, what do you think we should roll?
Well, I guess if it was going to be anything, it would be something under insight, but none of the skills really fall under attempting to remember stuff. So maybe fortune?
Yeah, like a fortune roll with a pool equal to the number, equal to your insight stat. Would that make sense?
I think that would make sense.
Okay, so I have 1 dot under study in insight, so that would be a fortune roll +1.
I'm going to give you 1 fortune die.
Okay, so 1 fortune dice. No notes.
No notes.
Cool.
Uh,
So that is a 3.
I'm going to say you don't know.
Okay. Crossroads.
And again, like you just see smoke where that memory would have been.
Crossroads thinks about it and then says very hesitantly to Ring, "I died." And Runa made me.
How long ago was it?
Before she died.
Weeks, months?
I don't know.
Ring will turn to Skelly. How long have you known each other?
A couple weeks, I guess.
And you only ever knew Crossroads as Crossroads is now?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Crossroads locks up.
Have I been eating all of your food?
Yeah.
Roll 1 fortune die.
Don't want this to hurt Skelly and Crossroads' friendship.
Well, I'm trying to find fortune. There we go. Oh gosh, I rolled a 1.
You stop to contemplate whether you've ever seen Crossroads eat or even open their jaw. But you're distracted immediately after someone asks a question. Yep. You almost had it, I'm sorry.
So I don't think this changes what we need to do. In terms
Crossroads says, no, we need to find food so Skelly can eat more and then be safe so Skelly can eat more and then not argue so Skelly can eat more.
Ash puts up a hand and says, "I would also like to eat something."
Crossroads awkwardly puts a hand inside its chest and takes out its stomach.
While that is happening,
Oh no.
I'm going to say there's like a tiny blue light that like starts flickering on one of the outer walls, and I would like everyone to um, roll whatever they think is appropriate to respond to that.
It's just a blue light. It doesn't look frightening or anything.
Um, for the moment, all it does is get your attention.
Oh,
What's our position?
Um, everyone's position is risky position, standard effect.
Okay. This is going to be a survey roll for Ash.
Yeah, I think.
And that was a 3. Whoops, no. 3, 4
Right.
for me.
4 from Ash, 3 from Ring.
position is standard.
Yes. Skelly is
Oh, position is risky and effect is
right.
standard.
Position is risky, effect is standard.
2 twos from Skelly.
4 from Ash, 3 from Ring, 2 from Skelly, and 4 from Crossroads. So I'm going to say that both Crossroads and Ash immediately like are drawn to the light and notice as a result that there is a periscope near the wall.
Like,
Ash
ooh,
notices like that something's there. Ash has no context for what a periscope is, because like moving to Duskfall was her first interaction with large bodies of water. She's never had occasion to encounter a submarine. She's heard of them.
Okay.
is there anything ghosty around the periscope? Because Crossroads would have attuned.
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, the light is powered by electroplasm, but other than that.
Oh.
But you actually more so than Ash would get the impression that it's an alarm of some kind.
It's an alarm.
But no, it doesn't make any noise, so you don't know what to think about that. But yes.
Okay, but I'm aware that there is an alarm powered by ghost juices and the alarm has gone off.
Mm-hmm.
What's it warning us about?
You'd have to look at the periscope to see.
So Crossroads was reaching into its stomach, or at least you presume it was doing that because it's still trying to hide behind Ash's coat.
Your hand is still there.
And then it sees this light going and then immediately goes towards the periscope suddenly.
Okay.
So to everyone else, Ash said, I too would like to eat. And then Crossroads started doing something and then ran away. Yeah.
So are you going to look through the periscope?
Yes, I am going to look through the periscope.
Okay. You maneuver it a couple of ways because you don't see anything, obviously. The site that it gives you is the site of the graveyard above.
Okay.
And in the direction that is currently facing, you don't see anything, but as you shift left and right, you see a man with bandages on his entire left arm and the entire top of his head, swinging a large metal pipe against gravestones. The person actually looks familiar, I will point out to you. So you should probably do something if you want to figure out where you recognize them from.
If I panic hard enough, can I remember them?
I assure you that panic will not help you.
Okay.
Probably turn the periscope into hot steel.
Oh,
Oh
no,
boy.
it's one weakness, not panicking.
Oh no. Oh no. I have to not panic to do something. This is horrible.
I have faith in you.
I guess I could study the person. I mean, me as a player, I am pretty sure I know who this is, but Crossroads in panic probably has to roll a study to examine the features.
So your position is risky and your effect is standard.
Whew. That is a 4.
4. You've seen the person before. You've seen the person specifically in Ash's shop, but you don't remember anything about why they were there.
I've seen this person Ash's shop.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Ash moves over to the periscope and she tries to hip check Crossroads aside so she can get a look. This doesn't exactly work because of the relative sizes involved, so all she does is give herself a bruise.
Yeah.
But when you touch Crossroads immediately like jumps half a football field to the side and then scrambles and continues hiding behind your coat.
Okay, that's quite a leap. You hear some things rumble very visibly. Tables shake under the immense pressure of you leaping all the way across the bat cave. But all right. Are you also going to look through the periscope then, Ash?
Yes. It takes her a second to get the hang of it because the twisty is not entirely intuitive for her. It looks like there's some stuff going on with camera mirroring that she has a little trouble getting it to look where she wants to look at first. This isn't like binoculars.
I am going to say like you like roughly kind of hit yourself in the face with it, trying to maneuver.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But when you finally get a handle on how to actually maneuver the periscope, you see your border badly bruised and bleeding, swinging a metal pipe against gravestones.
Ash is concerned both about the bruised and bleeding part and also the gravestone part because there's some pretty strong taboos about grave desecration in Severosi culture, so something's going extremely wrong up there.
Indeed.
But the border is alone?
Yep, just them. They seem very distressed. You've never seen, like, the look on their faces is like absolutely pained. You've never seen them in this much distress before.
That's saying something.
It is.
Just out of curiosity, we've never actually seen the border, right? The rest of the party? Besides,
you've seen them like in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they weren't injured like this before, were they?
Nope.
No, okay. Extremely not.
Okay.
Ash steps back from the periscope and she's like, I need to go upstairs, outside. And she's clearly like struggling a little with the positional relationality of like, is it upstairs? Is it outside? Is there a word in Duskfall language that combines those two concepts that she just doesn't know yet? And is she going to sound like an idiot for not knowing that word? So she's now trying to generate that word.
Yeah. I can now imagine like you fighting for a word to the point where like you accidentally say, I would like to get out of the grave.
Yes.
Yeah. Did anyone introduce Ring or Ash to the elevator yet at this point?
We went down through the elevator.
Yeah.
After the Scooby-Doo run, once the cop had been zapped, time we used the elevator.
I forgot you didn't fall into the hole. You actually used the elevator.
We went into the elevator, yeah.
Okay, so that means that you're aware of the elevator, so you can do that.
Ash heads for the elevator, and then she pauses, and she's like, wait. I would very much appreciate company on this.
Crossroads gets up and then looks at itself and then looks at Ash and then kind of clankety clanks over. And
Are
then
you sure? You can stay inside if you want to, hide a little.
Yeah, Skelly looks at Ring and like kind of like Rochambeau, like which one of us is gonna.
How's your night vision?
Pretty good.
So picture like tiny Ash and giant Crossroads, and Crossroads just kind of gives Ash her coat back. Like very carefully tries to put it on her with one hand, just like
I mean, from the run through the rain, Ash's clothes are still soaked, the coat is still soaked. None of this is doing any good, but she appreciates the gesture.
And then after Ash takes the coat, Crossroads hands Ash what looks like a very thickly lined sack from its chest that smells very strongly of mushroom empanadas. They're kind of crushed and crispy.
They're better when they're crispy.
And Crossroads is like, here. It's food.
Thank you.
Okay. So to confirm who's going up the elevator, I know that Ash is going up the elevator. Did Ring or Skelly decide?
Ash looks at Ring and Skelly and says, my border is up there and they have a metal pipe and they are upset. Which of you feels more prepared for that?
I'm good.
I'm going, or I'm good out here, thanks.
Skelly, you want to handle this one? Come get us if it's something that requires help from somebody else in the neighborhood. I know people.
Skelly already has a knife in one hand. Quietly.
What kind of knife?
A small one.
Define small for Skelly.
No, just like palm sized. Like.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, this is not a machete. This is
Duly noted. So, Ash and Skelly.
Not that she doesn't have a machete, which.
I
does,
believe it.
But.
Crossroads gives Skelly her coat as well.
No, it's okay. You can hang on to it.
But you're going outside.
Yeah, but I'm still okay.
Crossroads kind of looks at the coat, and you hear gears grinding, and then it says, it smells like the food you love.
Yeah, I don't wash it a lot.
So you should take it.
All right. Put your coat back on. Hood up. Let's go.
Okay. And with that, we are headed back upstairs. Well, back outside to the graveyard above. As the elevator clears and you can see at the hair outside. It is drizzling at this point, but still very heavily overcast. And you can both very clearly hear a very beaten, pained male voice shouting out Ash's name.
Are they still whapping at the tombstones?
When you step outside to actually see them, they're just wildly swinging at this point, just he's flailing with this large metal pipe in their hands, just shouting.
And Ash shouts, Root, stop that! You're going to get yourself haunted at this rate.
As the haunted machine, rude.
Root stops mid-swing, like with such like violent residual energy, and it just kind of like spin for a bit before they have to like literally like stab this pipe into the ground just to regain equilibrium. And they're like looking around trying to find where you are. And then he rushes over to you and grabs your hands and says, Jesus, Ash, I have no idea where you've been. What?
No, wait, clearly you had some idea because you were looking for me here.
I did go. I need to sit down, and they just kind of like fall back into the wet cemetery earth. Like he's holding his head. Like you can see blood still trickling down from parts of his forehead. And he's like,
Ash pulls a bandana out of her coat pocket and starts dabbing at the blood, and she goes, okay, slow down. What happened? And she is talking to him the way someone who was actually good at horses would talk to a spooked horse.
I'm gonna say that's like while that's happening, you're literally having a momentary flashback of seeing like a parent or an older sister have this exact same conversation with an actually spooked horse, and you're just watching them in awe when you were very young.
But also like Ash is dazed during that memory because that horse did kind of kick her. And by kind of, I mean, oh God, that hurts a lot, and Ash is a little bit in shock. But the horse is the one getting the attention.
So while that's happening, we just mildly snap back to the present moment. And Root starts saying, I overheard you saying you were headed in this direction. I just really needed to. They came into the shop. You're lucky if you still have any merchandise left to sell.
Who's they?
You, I don't know. Men in suits with like brass knuckles the size of your entire face. Like, I'm lucky to be awake right now. I don't know what they were looking for. They thought I was with you. They thought I was one of your colleagues. They asked about somebody named Intersection, something like I can't remember what they call. I don't know what's happening. They tore up your office.
Ash figures out what Root is getting at because intersection and crossroads are very much the same word in Severosi. So she's just like, oh, Duskfall is such a stupid, complicated language on the inside. On the outside, she is still trying to be very soothing. She's like, it's okay. I'm glad you got away. Nothing in there is irreplaceable, mostly. Most of the things in there are extremely replaceable and cheap anyway. It's okay. Don't worry about the shop. Let's worry about you. Let's get you somewhere to sleep tonight that isn't the shop. How about that? She's already figured out, like, this has to do with the guy who came by before looking for Crossroads. Right now, her priority is going to be making sure that Root is safe.
Okay. Root is like nodding his head, like he's looking at you, but he's also like looking beyond you at this point. He's kind of in a daze, and he's muttering to himself in Severosi, the equivalent of "I have no idea why I came to this cursed country." And like he's whispering prayers to his various the various like semi-pantheon of gods that he personally worships, and one of them is the name of the bird-headed god that you would have had a flash of when you saw Crossroads kill that blue coat.
At which point Ash is just like, okay, let's get you away from here. Because she does not want Root to see Crossroads if she can avoid it, because that will just make a lot more yelling happen, probably.
Probably. Root
And
is
then
like
she thinks about it.
looking at you, think very like obviously. And like he says very softly, "What about you though? They were looking for you."
I'll be fine.
I highly doubt it.
I also have places I can go. Let's get you into a safe place. Then I'll worry about me.
Are you sure?
Skelly
Yes,
looms
I'm
vigorously.
What was that?
Skelly looms vigorously. I'm like a foot taller than Ash.
Root sees you and immediately like becomes smaller into the earth because like the way that you're dressed is like vaguely like upscale enough that he would have momentarily imagined, except for the fact that you're dripping wet, that you were also one of the folks that were in the shop. You know, like he gets like a better look at you both, like the chemistry between you both is like with you.
Mm-hmm. Skelly's a friend.
Sighs relievedly. Begins getting
And
up
then
around.
Ash holds out the bag that Crossroads gave her, and she takes out an empanada and hands it to Root and goes, "Come on, let's get your blood sugar back up. You'll feel better once you eat."
Why do people keep
Ellie
giving
is
away
so
the food?
mad right now.
I'm so furious.
He looks at this like to clarify, the bag is wet with the juices of mushrooms and the rain, but is also very inexplicably covered in the soot of a man. Has been like reduced to pure light.
Nobody knows it's human.
And he's looking at the
Hang
whole
on. Actually, because normal ashes and cremains do have a different texture, and cremation is a part of Severosi culture, can Root tell that those are cremains and not just soot on the outside of the bag? Roll fortune.
No, I'm just gonna straight say he can tell.
Hey.
That's just the thing he knows. And he's looking at this mushroom empanada in your hand. It's like, how cursed is this place? Why did I move? Why did I leave home? Why did you leave home? Why are we here, Ash? What's happening in this goddamn country?
Well, you wanted to know what rain was, and I don't like horses. And with that, she just starts leading the way out of the cemetery.
Like he's muttering to himself as he follows. Both of these were bad reasons to leave our homeland in hindsight.
So wait, are you gonna eat that though, or?
He hears you say that and immediately like shoves it all the way in your face.
This was a triumph.
And with that, the border has been escorted off the premises. What next?
Ash is going to take her boarder to another Severosi family that she helped get settled in the city.
Okay.
She has been doing this for long enough that there's a mutual favor exchange going, and the balance is, in most cases, tipped a little bit in her favor.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be cashing that out on just making sure the border has a safe place to stay with a Severosi family for the next few days. She goes for one of the families with kids because the kids are starting in a local school and they can help with Root learning the local language.
Mm-hmm. So how many members are in this family?
2 kids, 3 adults.
And who's at the house at the moment when you get there?
2 of the adults, 1 of the kids.
Okay. How old is the oldest adult?
Mid-40s, I'm thinking.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna say that person opens the door. It's like, hey, Ash, I didn't expect you on this side of the city in the pouring rain. What brings you over here?
Having a bit of a night mist. Do you mind taking Root in for a few days? We're having some trouble at the shop. I think it's a gas leak. So I don't want Root in the building. We really need to get it fixed. But right now, the air is bad.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially around here, this country is lousy with its gas, and especially with the electroplasm problems elsewhere, like it'd be a terrible thing to have someone else in. Please come in, and they usher Ruth into the house, close the door behind you both. Would either of you like something to drink?
Ash is torn because refusing that initial cup of tea is culturally not done, but Ash is extremely in a hurry to get back to the graveyard. So she goes, we've called for emergency maintenance. I need to be there when they arrive. I'm so sorry. And at this point, if Skelly has followed, Skelly is probably a little weirded out by how profusely Ash is apologizing. This is a level of politeness that a customer has never ever had.
So I'm going to point out that that's not the only thing that you notice, Skelly. You also notice that the 2 adults who are both in the hallway are looking at you with intense suspicion.
Hey, take another bite of an empanada.
Okay. Are you sure?
That I'm eating the empanada, or yes, I think Skelly's going to do that.
So the adult at the house turns back to you and goes, "Are you sure you don't want anything to drink, anything to eat? A change of clothes to head back out into the rain, anything like that at all?"
Ash looks down at herself and says, if you've anything you can loan me, I think I will take that change of clothes. Because, A of all, she's been extremely damp for a few hours now, and it's terrible, and it's chafing, and she hates it. But also, taking some form of hospitality will just put everyone at ease.
Mm-hmm. I do notice as soon as you say that, like, there is a small portion of like their folded clothes that they just kind of emerged from a side wall that they just kind of like had stored in a basket as if they were waiting precisely for this moment, which is a thing you know tends to happen. They save these moments of hospitality for each other on a regular basis, and they just emerge with a jacket, a pair of long dress pants, a skirt if you want to choose that instead, and a blouse.
Ash goes for the pants. And, you know, she goes and changes. And when she comes out, does Skelly pick up on the fact that the clothing is noticeably Severosi? Like,
Nope.
The pants are definitely a little tighter than is appropriate for Duskfall. The coat is very long, but it's split in the back to accommodate horse riding.
I think that Skelly would definitely not notice. Sorry.
It does look like not the kind of regular wear that you've seen anybody else wear, but it just looks very upscale to you. You can't.
I was gonna say Skelly would be like, "Those are some fancy digs."
Thank you.
Like both of the adults are like endlessly complimenting you now. It's like, you look so good. I like.
It's been a while since Ash has worn anything remotely traditional.
Mm-hmm.
If she was going to finish the traditional look, like, she would use her bandana for her hair, but that bandana has Root's blood on it now. So that's just going to stay with Root
Indeed.
forever.
So they turn to Root and they ask, so would you like anything as well? It's like Root is also intensely apologetic, refuses everything, says that all he needs is to take a warm shower and probably like get all of this blood off of him. But he's immensely thankful for an opportunity to spend a few nights here until everything returns to normal at your shop.
Those gas leaks are notorious for causing lots of bleeding and bruises.
He hit his head trying to fix the pipe.
They are very suspicious of that, but they also like this relationship between the relationship that the Severosi have with underworld elements is such that they're perfectly fine with just assuming, oh yes, something untoward happened. But if it's not my business, then you can't make it my business.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So Root goes off to change clothes and get into the shower when the other adult takes you by the hand, Ash, and leads you into the kitchen and starts whispering, your shop is deeper into the city, isn't it?
Yep. Good location.
Please be careful because there are some strange things happening over there. Some of our cousins, the ones who do the things that aren't our business. They've been getting really, let's say, intense. And I wouldn't want anything to happen to you or anybody else on that side. You and your friend seem like nice people. Please take care of yourself. Please. You've done so much.
Ash embraces them and says, it's okay. It's the city. Weird things are always happening in the city.
And like they whisper in Severosi even more bitterness about this accursed country. Why did they leave their homeland? You notice on the wall there is a ceramic plate that they've hung up that has like this like very interesting kind of cross-hatched artwork of the bird-headed god. And then Severosi, there is text in a circle surrounding it that says something roughly translated as let all of my troubles be someone else's troubles. After that embrace, they ask you one more time if you'd like anything to drink. They literally open their icebox in front of you and reveal like various kinds of beers and ales and wines and juices.
You're too kind. I mustn't keep maintenance waiting, though. And she emphasizes the waiting because making someone wait is rude.
I understand. But perhaps another time if you ever come to visit again, please don't be a stranger, Ash.
Oh, gladly. And she does look again at that plate on her way out because it's just like, let my troubles be someone else's. Yeah, your troubles are mine now.
Okay, and then you step back out into the hallway as you notice Skelly being like intensely stared at by the other adult in the house.
One of the problems there is just that Skelly is a level of tall that everyone in, like, Ash is fairly average height for a Severosi, maybe even on the slightly taller side of average. Mm-hmm. So to people who are mostly built like jockeys, essentially, Skelly is worryingly tall. Like, bones can get that big? What?
Yep. And you head out, and I presume that you're going to head back to the Batcave.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we have no better plan in terms of rendezvousing with the rest of the party. So, like, Batcave it is.
Is there anything happening in the Batcave just before they get there? Ring and Crossroads.
So basically, after Crossroads managed to persuade Skelly to take her coat back, Crossroads was very pleased with itself because it managed to be made of meat for a little bit. And then the elevator disappeared, and Crossroads realized that it was alone with Ring. And Crossroads didn't like that. So Crossroads had a brief moment of smiley face and then immediately bolted to like the farthest, darkest corner of the Batcave to not be near Ring. Yeah,
and I think Ring can interpret enough of that to give Crossroads its space, and is just kind of trying to take in the Batcave because the time that they were here previously, I don't think the group stayed very long because they were going out to get more people. So just like giving an actual like scoundrel's eye over what this whole thing is.
Okay. Would you like to give me a study roll then?
I would love to.
I'm gonna say your position is controlled, and your effect is limited.
Sure. No bonus dice, but that is a 4.
4 is good enough. Right. You notice on the table that there is like a stack of like papers and hand-drawn maps of various kinds of quality that date back to that like have date stamps or other kinds of signifiers on them that show that they were either drawn during the war by laypersons, or that they are literal maps from the war, literal battleground maps from the war.
Yeah, I think that definitely catches their interest and disappear into that enough that maybe Crossroads might be able to feel less worried because Ring's attention is so consumed by something that is not it.
Crossroads, once it sees that Ring is kind of sharking around the area, because it does perceive the area as Runa's, and part of its directives was basically like, be friends with Runa, take care of Runa, etc., etc. Part of that is taking care of what it perceives to be Runa's property. So this, because there was a note addressed to it, it's thinking, oh, okay, Ring is looking at Runa's stuff. Why is Ring doing that? So I'm thinking that Ring is super absorbed in these maps and suddenly realizes there's a 6-foot+ giant bird frame just looming over them.
Yeah, I think that. So I'm going to make things worse for all of us, and I think it's going to be fine, because I think. Well, I'm playing to a character, because I think maybe Ring has actually seen a hole before.
Like during the war?
During the war.
Mm-hmm.
And it killed some of their men, or killed some of their people. And so looking at a battlefield map, and because we're doing storytelling, I think Brandon, unless it's not appropriate, there's a map from a battle that Ring was in. And so then the camera kind of pulls up over the map and we get a double overlay of like the actual landscape and the drawn map. And like kind of the color fades to the color of the map, and we push in down from like a bird's view into the battle itself, and kind of Ring and their unit like turning a corner in a trench, and there's just a hole there, and Ring and then kind of Ring flashes back from that moment to the situation, takes a step back and pulls a gun and points it at Crossroads, because they are exactly back in that moment. And intercut with that moment, we see a quick montage of that hole tearing people apart. And we get back to the base, and Ring's hand is twitching, and you see like tears pooling in their eye. And I think if Crossroads does not immediately like counterattack or something, which would be reasonable, I think Ring is able to like pull himself back out and kind of let the gun go slack and put it like step back again and put it away, and then like does the thing that Crossroads did of disappearing themselves and getting away from the moment.
Well, you wouldn't have been able to put the gun away because Crossroads would have attuned in panic.
Fair.
Are you sure that is that what you would like to do?
It's what Crossroads would do.
Duly noted. Please roll to attune.
Is there a way to make it a big attune, because it is a gun that is a surprise gun in its face?
Because okay,
I can't push myself to attune if it's a bigger reflex, is what I'm trying to say.
So this is what occurs to me in panic. Your position is desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Your effect is great.
Okay.
And I am giving you a bonus die because you are panicking.
Okay, so attune, you said it's a desperate roll?
Yeah, desperate.
And it's a great effect. And there is one bonus die.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not so bad. A 1, a 3, and a 4.
Congratulations, we didn't cook Ring. So, while this is happening, there are questions that I want to ask about that flashback, which are, you surely only saw this hull in that one combat encounter.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that combat encounter? In particular, did it speak or otherwise seem like sentient or conscious, or did it seem like it was like a truly haunted spirit just tied to this hull for the purposes of Firelance?
So I think like out of Ring's perspective, I think that hull was there protecting the private interests of someone who was kind of moving their own forces through the war. And so Ring and their unit were doing the thing they were supposed to be doing, but they ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I think the hull did not speak to them. I think the hull just routed the unit because they were not equipped with like Spirit Bane charms or anything. And so to Ring, the hull was just like metal and death.
Mm-hmm. Did it seem to enjoy what it was doing, or did it seem like it was just doing its work?
I mean, Ring would swear that metal like that couldn't smile, but then they'll never forget what the hull looked like when it wrapped its hands around poor little Axel's head.
Do you remember what it sounded like hearing it walk?
I think that the sound is probably like the walking sound is maybe not the thing that they remember as much as the sound of metal against flesh and armor.
Okay. So in the moments of that flashback, this like eternal moment of that flashback, you are hearing all of those sounds again, of the gears turning, of bone crunching in the grip of heavy metal. You're remembering in that moment having your gun raised, but you can't recall in that moment if you ever actually had enough presence of mind to have drawn your gun in that moment, but you're seeing yourself in uniform in the trenches with your gun raised in this moment. Your hearing is kind of fading in and out as you try to like discern what's going on in this moment, and then everything is punctuated by this very loud thudding noise. And when you re-emerge, what has happened was a pulse of electroplasm emanating from Crossroads' body, with so much force that it literally starts cracking the walls of the Batcave and it pushes you back 2 feet while you're still standing. You look at your gun feels like it's charring your hand as you hold it.
Sorry, Ring.
No, this is exactly the kind of bit that I was going for kind of as a player. So I think they drop the gun and we see it kind of smoking and smoldering on the floor, and they kind of flex their hand, take some long breaths, and say, "I'm sorry. You're not the first Hull I've seen, but you're very different, and I'm sorry."
Crossroads parses through a lot of extremely worrying implications of that statement, but thinking about the implications of that statement, i.e., there are other thems or its, and there are other dead its running around out there not being made of meat, is really, really stressful. So it doesn't think about that anymore, and it says, "You're cooking."
Yeah, I'll be fine. I just need to. Doesn't seem like is there an herb store, poultices, anything here?
I don't know. Crossroads looks around and realizes it doesn't know what taking care of meat things look like besides butcher shops and cutting boards and all that other kind of thing. And so it starts making plans to chop Ring's hand off and starts looking for available surfaces and objects to do that with. But it looks like it's looking for a first aid kit.
Okay.
So are there any large knives and flat surfaces?
Lots of flat surfaces, not a lot of immediately available knives.
Okay.
I will also point out at this moment, as Ring is getting out of, like, as you're like finally recentering yourself in the present moment, your eye glances back at the map, and one of the things that you notice just idly is that in the position of one of your last battlefields, and in a position in Dunslow that is roughly equivalent to the address that you've already identified, there is a symbol that you cannot make out.
Cool. And I think Ring would kind of want to take a note, but it doesn't trust writing something down with their offhand because they drew with their dominant hand, drew the gun. So instead, they will kind of put the map in question kind of on the top of a thing and say, Crossroads, do you know this symbol? Is this something that you remember?
Crossroads stops scanning for amputative tools and looks at the indicated symbol. Is it a symbol that it recognizes?
I'm going to make you roll for that, but I'm also going to say that while that is happening, this is the precise moment that Ash and Skelly re-emerge in the Batcave by elevator and not by hole. But that's to answer your question, Crossroads, that's definitely a roll.
Okay.
Do you think that it would be a... you can study if you want to search if it's information that you would have probably already had and you want to like re-investigate your thoughts to discover it. You can survey if you want to see if there's another document in the room that might confirm, or you can attune and try to ask God.
Well, I have more dots in attune, so
Okay. I'm gonna actually let you do that. To like search the ghost field for the answer to this question. Your position is risky.
Yep.
And your effect is standard.
Okay. No bonus die because so to ring, Crossroads kind of looks at the paper and reaches out a very skeletal metally hand that is totally made of meat and touches the paper and seems to focus. Because prior to this point, Crossroads has only ever attuned out of panic, but it has been cognizant of the fact that it's kind of reaching out and getting a larger awareness outside of itself. So now it's trying to tap into that deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how that goes. That's a 3 and a 1.
Okay. You glimpse at something in the ghost field very briefly, but it doesn't stay around long enough for you to actually glean anything from it. But you do get the sense that with greater focus, you would have been able to get an answer in the ghost field, and that with greater practice, perhaps you'd be able to answer these questions more effectively in the future.
Okay, so Ring, you see Crossroads reach out, touch this paper, appear to focus really, really hard. Maybe you get the sense of static kind of prickling the air as electroplasm starts doing its electroplasm thing. Then it passes, and nothing happens. And Crossroads kind of looks at you, and the way it droops seems really glum. So it's like 6 foot plus of glum. And it says, I am really bad at being dead.
Okay.
I'd say that's preferable.
Crossroads is so confused.
While Skelly and what has just taken place?
The first thing Ash notices when she gets in is that really distinct charred flesh smell. And she's alarmed, but she's also just going, not my business, not my business, not my business.
Did you cook something while I was gone?
Crossroads perks up at hearing Skelly's voice and then says, Ring is cooking.
Ring, what are you making?
I'm just going to idly point out that while all of that is happening, Ash, you literally, as you whispering that to yourself, you literally see the plate that was happening again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ring uses this opportunity to change the subject and say, is everything all right? Everything taken care of, Ash?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. It's late enough that if we were going to go back to that address in Brightstone, whoever is there is going to be doing night business, which either means no one's around or there's more sentries. So we can call it a night and try to go again tomorrow, or we can try to go tonight knowing that it's going to be different.
Ash looks at the anxious robot and just goes, would you really put it through more?
I don't think the investigators are going to stop.
There's no beds in
Ash
here.
looks at Crossroads and goes, wait, do you need sleep?
Crossroads is vaguely perturbed because the first thing out of its sonarium is yes, and then it remembers it isn't made of meat with these people, and then it says no.
Well, if it wouldn't be too stressful for Crossroads, it may be worth seeing what's going on. But Ash is being careful about this because right now Ash's priority is kind of, let's keep Crossroads calm so it doesn't electrocute something else.
Crossroads does not know this is the plan.
If we get close, I can try to scope things out if you want.
Yeah, and I'd like to, Brendan, I'd like to do a flashback.
Okay.
I want to flashback to a montage that, like, basically that morning, because I think we'd had one night of one night between learning the address and the events of today.
Yes.
So I want to do a flashback to talking with people in the morning. So they're like the workers that they supervise and that Akarosi elder. And I want to consort for information about kind of what goes on at that address and or any information that people might have about like kind of black or gray market or scoundrelly type activity there or around there. And I'm going to use my new move, Weaving the Web, which says you gain +1d to consort when you gather information on a target for a score.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Okay.
So what would the stress cost of a flashback like that be, do you think?
I'm going to say because of the nature of the question and the like length of time that I think it would require to gather some useful amount of information, I'm going to say that that's 2 stress, which is the max stress that you can get from a flashback.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm also going to say because of the folks that you're speaking to, that the actual role that would be required is at what position is that?
Is it gather information is at least sometimes just a fortune roll?
Oh, but since your move specified consort, I figured that you would do a consort roll instead. Is that what you would like to do?
Yeah. So I do consort. It can be as an action roll or as a fortune roll, depending on what you think is appropriate.
Yeah. Do a consort roll. Your position is controlled and your effect is standard. But I will give you one extra die because of the quality of folks that you speak to.
So that's one bonus die for the move and one bonus die for the people. And that is a bunch of garbage. That's 3, 2, 3, 3.
Oh, well.
Alas.
The only thing that everybody keeps telling you the exact same series of gibberish statements about the Brightstone address, which is nothing untoward happens at that Brightstone address, but every once in a while, some unsavory folks would just walk in and walk out. They never spend more than an hour there, and you don't know why. You have no idea what to make of that information, obviously, because untoward folks walk into every building everywhere in Dustball. And the fact that they don't stay very often either means that nothing is happening or any number of things could be happening. Right. They also have no valuable information about who stays there or what kind of work takes place in that district whatsoever.
Okay. So I think we get that and jump back to the present where Ring says, I talked to some people this morning and we went to find out more because all I heard from anybody this morning is that they don't think anything untoward happens there, but sometimes people come in, stay for maybe no more than an hour and go. Scoundrelly types as well. And the best I can figure is it's people giving information or getting orders or both. If there were material, weaponry or something moving in and out, I think people would know. People I talk to would know, which makes me think it's a place where the talking happens more than the doing of dirty deeds. So we go there tonight. If we can try to scope something out, that would be good, but it may be the kind of place where we need to go at the right time to see the right people to know what's happening. And I don't know if that changes what we do or don't want to do tonight. But I don't think that we can afford to wait much longer, given how much the inspectors and the blue coats have been moving against us just in the last 2 days. And I, for one, am kind of tired of being on the back foot about this.
Then let's go see if we can get in without reservations.
Sounds good.
Crossroads does not know what any of these words mean, and in fact has been whispering quietly to Skelly in the background the whole time about getting a knife.
Here you go.
A big one.
Oh, hold on. Here you go. Wait,
Skelly,
what do you need it for?
Crossroads says Ring is cooking.
Wait, so the knife is for Ring?
Yes.
So he can cook something with it?
No, so I can get rid of the cooked part.
Skelly's, it takes a little, I feel like I should roll to see if Skelly figures this out. Because I think that Skelly's just not quite quick enough on the uptake. But in the interest of saving time, Skelly just kind of quietly puts the knife back away.
Okay. Duly noted. Wow.
Crossroads doesn't understand why Skelly is being so recalcitrant.
I think Ring might need something else. Now Skelly is trying to kind of look at Ring to identify injuries because I think Skelly's slowly connecting dots.
Yeah, I think Scully would notice that Ring occasionally kind of flexes their hand, and you probably notice some some burns along the kind of the inside of the palm, and I think Ring would dispose of the pistol, but it would be somewhere and smelly. This is where I ask out of character if we want to come up with a plan and make an engagement roll for this.
To the
A plan would be great.
Crossroads never plans. Crossroads just panics.
Yeah, no, I think Skelly plans, and I think that this would be a prowl roll for Skelly immediately in terms of kind of sneaking up on the place and trying to scope it out.
So would that be a stealth plan?
I don't know if the whole plan would be stealth, though. So.
Right. So for context, there are different kinds of plans that you can engage in for the beginning of a score, which are assault, occult, deception, social, stealth, and transport. Transport is not very viable in this particular circumstance. And several others like occult or deception, occult, deception, or social would potentially require you having more information than you presently have. So if you wanted to do a stealth or assault plan in preparation for a score, this would be your time to discuss what you think would be most useful.
I want to run stealth just because I haven't used any of my lurk skills yet.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And it makes sense. I do give a +1d on engagement roll when I use Weaving the Web, which I think here are probably represented as being able to provide tips about the neighborhood and what kind of people Ring talk to and what kind of people they expect are the folks that come and go, which then maybe Skelly can use in terms of guessing like how people flow is going to work or something like that.
Because I would say that your flashbacks still give you suitable information about the location as a structure that if you wanted to do an approximate stealth mission, you still have enough points of ingress and egress that you have a working plan that might just need some finessing once you finally get in.
So if we're making a plan for going to this place, Crossroads will definitely look around at everyone else to determine if they expect it to go along with them. If the general plan seems to be leave the taser bomb behind, Crossroads obviously won't do anything. But yeah, if it's decided that Crossroads should come along, then obviously its primary function again is to make sure that nobody realizes that it's a hole outside of this group.
As you're looking around, give me a fortune roll.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, so Crossroads fortune roll. Number of dice?
2.
2. Notes?
No notes.
No notes. That's a 4 and a 2.
As you are looking around, you briefly find yourself like for a fraction of a second, you find yourself slightly leaning back into the ghost field, and then you just come back.
As I'm looking around, I find myself pulled into the ghost field.
Just briefly.
Like in a physical direction, or is this a metaphysical? Just woo! I'm being pulled out of my body.
It feels like you're having a vision, but your whole body is like very briefly gone. No one else notices.
Oh. If I attuned with Ghost Mind, would I be able to find more about that?
Can you remind me what Ghost Mind does?
Ghost Mind is one of my hold traits, and it says you're always aware of supernatural entities in your presence. Take 1+1d when you gather info about the supernatural. So.
Yeah, yes. If you wanted to do the thing, I would thoroughly recommend it.
Okay, so that would be attuning. My position would be what for this?
Your position would be risky, but your effect would be standard.
Okay, standard, and I would get 1 die because it's trying to gather information about the supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
To see if it was a supernatural thing that kind of pulled me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 3, a 4, and a 2.
All of these things happen like very, very briefly. Like they happen in the speed of a frame, a single frame of a video. You flicker in and out very physically, and no one sees you. You stop and you ask, what just happened? And as you're doing that and you're still looking around, you're roughly looking in Ring's direction near the maps, and you see the briefest flicker of Runa pointing at the map. And then
Cross panics. Sorry, I screamed, but like seeing the ghost of Runa would make it panic.
Whoa! What's going on?
Can I attune again to panic? Or no?
If you attune again to panic, you keep the one bonus die from Ghost Mind.
Okay. All right. So basically, if I understand this correctly, the sequence of events is Crossroads physically flickered in and out of existence. So like its body actually physically disappeared for a brief moment, but nobody noticed. Crossroads then attempted to reach out into the field to understand what was going on, and then saw Runa's ghost pointing at the map that Ring had moved to the top of the pile to save for later because Ring couldn't write down the location of the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so because Crossroads saw the ghost of this person that it last saw extremely dead and without blood, Crossroads panics, which is attune. Is it still risky and standard, the position and effect?
It's the position is still risky, but the effect is now great.
Oh boy. And with 1 bonus die because of the ghost mind.
And 1 other bonus die because you're panicking.
Oh, so 2 bonus die.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry, guys. No, it's a 6, a 3, a 4, and a 1.
Did we all just get cooked?
I have a resist option, but I want to hear what this thing sounds like.
Things that continue to happen. It is in what takes place for everybody else in this room now at the speed of singular frames of video, but are now like taking longer moments for you, but still rather fleeting moments. You see Runa again, and she's very clearly pointing at the map. You see Runa like a non-ghost, like seemingly physical, seemingly still real Runa, standing in front of Ring and pointing at the map.
Okay. Is she pointing at the symbol on the map?
She's pointing at this symbol on the map in Dunslow.
Okay.
She's mouthing something to you, but you cannot make out what she's mouthing.
Oh, damn it. I knew I should have taken a body with lips.
She, like, during the moment when she's present, her form flickers in and out in frames between the last set of clothes that you saw her in before she died and a long black dress and black veil.
Oh, God.
Immediately after that, you have another smoke-filled vision of the actual seal. But other things are in the vision for scale, and the seal is roughly as big as a district of Duskfall.
Okay, so it's definitely not in my chest, which I thought.
And like you are zooming into that vision in the smoke, and you see someone that you recognize, a body that you vaguely imagine that you should know very intimately, climbing the stem of the seal. But when you try to maneuver yourself in this vision to get a sense of who this person has no face.
If it's me, I'm gonna lose my mind.
You briefly have another flicker of Ash playing a game kind of like Severosi Dominoes with a group of men that you do not know. You briefly flash again into a battlefield that you do not recognize, where Ring and a group of men that you do not know are staring at you very intensely. You briefly flash into another moment where Skelly is sitting in a totally empty dining room, and there is a plate full of water, and Skelly is like putting a spoon into the water to drink it like soup, but the water is not moving onto the spoon.
Crossroads is in hell.
You flash back into this moment, and Druna is still like physically into this room. And she walks up to you and puts her hand on your cheek, and you are feeling her hand as if you are actually made of meat.
No, this is the worst.
And you look like you are like actually turn to like shift your gaze into her hand, and you are looking at like your face in her hand, and you can see that your face has skin. And
Crossroads doesn't like this.
And she's still looking at you and like mouthing something like very seriously to you, and you cannot make out what she says. And then she like just like boops you on the nose. A thing that you like vaguely remember at this moment is a thing that she just used to do, like as an idle kind of gesture towards you. And when that happens, you are now still in the room where nothing is happening.
Nothing has happened. So physically to anybody.
Yep.
So at this point, I'm going to say that Crossroads, when it panicked, basically sort of overloaded its circuits, so it can't panic anymore because the feedback loop just went, nope, you can't fire off any more death rays. So it keeps trying to like attune out the panic, but it can't attune out the panic, so it just suddenly starts screaming at the ceiling.
Okay. That answers the question of what that 6 meant for everybody else, which is all of you are planning your next move. When out of nowhere, in like all of you notice, but the order of noticing is Skelly, then Ash, then Ring. All of you notice Crossroads look around confusedly, then immediately seem incredibly more tense, and then like the bird head turns up to the ceiling and starts screaming, and there is like this sonic boom in the room that pushes you all to the edges of the Batcave.
Ow.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
How long are we stuck at the edges, or is it just an immediate like push and then that's it?
It's just a push. And the other thing that happens, just to actually answer questions, at the moment of the scream, Ring, the scream does not sound like the thing that happened the first time you saw that hell on the battlefield, but it does remind you suddenly of the way that its gaze turned when you encountered it for the very first time. And the moment that you have that flashback, you are there, and Crossroads. And you look down at that point on the map. You looked at on the ground as you had previously imagined it, with that landscape actually folding into the map itself, and you see the symbol on the ground, and you see text that is written next to the symbol in this kind of invisible, kind of glowing kind of image on the ground, but it is written um, like it seems to not be written in a language that you understand, and it just kind of starts shifting in and out of this artificial language into Akarosi. And the thing that you see is the word putrefy.
And I think we see Ring kind of reach into their skirts and pull out but not show a bit of iron, like a kind of a wrought iron cross with silver wrapped around it, and a lapis lazuli gemstone, which kind of a learned person would recognize as a spirit bane charm.
Mm-hmm.
And they have it in their hand as they're kind of waiting to see what Crossroads is doing next.
Crossroads is still screaming.
And then Ring would look to Skelly, because Skelly is maybe the only person who could talk it down.
Instinctually, you are turning towards where you know Skelly would have been relative to you in the room that you were in, but you don't see Skelly. Crossroads is still like visibly screaming at the sky. The minute that you lift the spirit being in front of you, the minute you lift the spirit being charm in front of you, you are back in the room. And where your hands are, where the spirit being charm would have been, you're now looking again at the map, and you notice that one of the books that are holding the map open is a text of alchemical theories and understandings.
So back in the room, I think Ring would then try again to look at Skelly and sit low shout, just to be heard over the screen, to Skelly, and try to kind of wave her over.
I know what Skelly's gonna do, and it sucks. Okay.
What is Skelly going to do?
Ellie's gonna get her back for the empanadas that she never got.
Skelly's gonna put an empanada in Crossroads' mouth. Because that would shut up a person, food in their mouth. And Skelly doesn't fully understand the mechanism of the sound. And so figures if the mouth is open and sound is coming out, then if you plug it, the sound will stop.
This is a great plan. Point of order. Ash still has Crossroads' stomach, so that empanada is going to go down the tubes and just rattle, I guess, or is it going to splat on the inside or what?
It'll splat out onto the ground. It'll fall out my throat and land on the ground.
I assure you that's
amazing.
I assure you that's actually not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to bring that empanada to Crossroads like metal jaw, and electroplasm will literally burn it to ash right in your hands.
Oh no.
That happens, and then the electroplasm, all kinds of it responds to like the touch of the empanada and just like sinks all the way back into Crossroads, and Crossroads just kind of slumps very briefly. Ring, you're suddenly very drawn to open the book.
I think Ring opens it without noticing that they've done so, mouthing putrefy
Uh,
on repeat.
you randomly open it onto a page of drawings and definitions of alchemical shorthand symbols.
Mhm.
You notice on the right-hand page the symbol for putrefaction. And it's the exact same symbol that you would have seen on the ground. And in the margin of that page, you see in capital letters written in some kind of ink, very like rushed, DNSLGH.
DNSLGH.
Yes, which Ring automatically knows in that moment is a very quick shorthand of all the capital letters in Dunslow. And with that, I think we're coming up to, yes, continue.
So basically, when the empanada basically got carbonized upon touching Crossroads, you know the sound a computer makes when you turn it off while it's still playing a sound and the sound goes
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the scream does. And Crossroads powers down, so to speak, and then suddenly it jerks upright and goes, Runa wants us to go to the house.
Well, goodness, if Runa wants it, then that's an even better case for why we should go.
Indeed. And with that, that's the end of this session. That exact like exchange is the thing that closes this moment.
Well,
wow.
we're very good at making trouble for ourselves.
May our troubles be other people's troubles. My shirt now. I don't know why I did that to y'all, but I want it on a shirt now. So that just happened to us. Thank you for that.
I mean, I also want that on a shirt, so I feel like. Yeah.
Any artists in the chat who have been thoroughly motivated by this weird story that we've been telling, please, I will pay you for it. But yeah.
Also, I like how we left the canonically flashbacking person with the canonical taser bomb alone in a room and thought nothing was going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait. Who thought nothing was going to happen?
happen.
Because we knew. I feel like we expected things to happen. Yeah.
Like any interaction Crossroads has with another person was bound to be gold. But the fact that it ended up being Crossroads and Ring immediately flipped a switch in my brain that went, okay, after Ash is done doing Ash things, how much Twin Peaks can I put in this session? And she said so done. So
Yep.
Thank you very much for that. I guess this is the point where we kind of shout into the ether for Greg to join us.
Yeah. Do we want to do XP?
Yes, we should. Before all of those things happen, let's check the XP things, starting with Crossroads.
I know I had one desperate roll in Attune.
Was it just the one?
Yes.
Okay, so that's definitely one in your resolve attribute.
Or I could put it towards my playbook advancement.
If I recall correctly, the other 3 questions, well, you can put those anywhere, but this one is...
This one is, okay.
Mm-hmm. So, you fulfilled your functions despite difficulty or danger.
I guess I wasn't really in danger. Ever.
Not this session.
No.
But does difficulty count when you are still constantly panicked? I think I would give you 1 for that.
Okay. I did do that ghost mine, even though I was panicking, I guess. So
You suppressed or ignored your former human beliefs, drives, heritage, or background.
I think in this session I more discovered them
Yeah.
in the sense of figuring out what they were in the first place. So then I can figure out how to suppress them later. Yahoo!
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with issues from my wear. I didn't have a stomach for this session, but that really didn't cause me any problems.
You haven't experienced any wear yet, just drain. So I don't think that we've gotten that far yet. So I think it's just the one so far.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Skelly. Did you roll any desperate actions this session?
No.
Okay. You addressed a challenge with tracking or violence.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you didn't. You mostly tagged along for someone else's work.
Yeah.
You expressed your
Billy did loom a lot. There wasn't violence, but there was implied threats of violence.
Skelly did pull out a knife immediately when Ash asked for help.
resolving to address that challenge with violence is not the same as addressing that challenge. We haven't gotten there yet. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Hasn't come up yet. You struggle with issues from your advice or traumas during this session. Hasn't come out yet, unfortunately.
I believe that Skelly should get at least 1 XP for a thorough and consistent fixation on food.
I think
And not
Skelly
wasting food.
demonstrated truly just impeccable devotion to not wasting food.
No, yeah, that you are right. Food, I keep forgetting that food is your vice, and you've spent this entire session simply eating and watching other people work. So you definitely.
And I just used food to try to solve a problem.
Even if it didn't work.
And it didn't work, and now food is gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you 2 XP for your food-related escapades.
XP for food.
Can our team logo just be a mushroom empanada now?
Uh-huh.
I really do believe that this session probably has several logos at this point.
Right, because there's also the bug in the teacup.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the chest full of bugs. Crickets.
Oh, can it be like an empanada that's like the curved side up like a cloud and then a little lightning bolt out of it because I keep electrocuting people?
We may end up with like a Jeoi hi-fi logo of just a billion images.
Wow. So next we'll do ring. Did you roll desperate this session?
No desperate rolls.
Okay. You address the challenge with calculation or conspiracy.
I think at least 1 in flashing back to try to get info about the site.
I think that counts as 1.
So it's 1.
You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I will give you 2 for having the most very intense flashback to the battlefield for your background.
And you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas this session. I think probably the one big one of seeing a moment that was only a little charged and going, to respect my character, this needs to be much more of a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm. Which I think, you let me know if you think that's 1 or 2, because I just gave 2 for the background because of the nature of the.
Yeah, I think 1 for trauma because the other XP is more the expression of the military background.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that would be 4 total.
Yes.
1, 2, 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put all of those into the prowess track.
Okay.
And that's done. Or I am done. It's not a full track.
And Ash, did you roll desperate this session?
No.
Okay. You addressed the challenge with stealth or evasion.
Lying is technically not stealth.
Technically, no, it is not. Deception is not stealth. You expressed your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Definitely too for a lot of heritage things. May your troubles be other people's troubles. You struggled with issues from your vice or traumas during the session.
Is horse a trauma?
Do you think obligation came up in your interactions with the would you say that obligation played a part in your interactions with the Severosi this session?
Absolutely. Just because Root is her responsibility until she gets him out of her house.
Do you consider your relationship with the rest of this party an obligation?
She knows Crossroads isn't a god, but Crossroads' resemblance to a god does make her feel a lot more compelled to play along with this because Severosi don't believe in coincidences.
Okay,
Hilariously, Crossroads also doesn't believe in coincidences, which is why it panics all the time.
So I think I'll give you 2 for that then. So how much is that in total today?
That is an advancement.
Ooh.
Let's see.
Do
I throw that into a skill or just a track?
If you finish playbook advancement, you get to add a special ability to your playbook.
Ooh.
Do you have one in mind, or do you want to wait until next session?
I will think about that and throw it on next session.
Okay. And we will have, I will try to remember to have that conversation next session. As a reminder, Mike, did Ring already pick a move from their last?
Yes. Weaving the web was the new move that they took. I already had foresight.
Cool. So I will try to remember to check with you again, Ash, about your new move as you give yourself time to think about what else you want to do in that session. So yeah, we didn't cook anybody this time.
Despite Ring's best attempts to make Crossroads cook everybody.
Brandon, does it make sense at any point to create or pick a crew ability based on crew XP, which we haven't really been tracking? Because like normally the crew has their own XP track, but we're using a special crew. I don't know if that's something that makes sense to think about in terms of, like, is there some move that either represents this base or something else that we'd want to codify?
There are some thoughts that I have, and we can talk about those things in private so we can establish those things at the beginning of our next session, now that you have a base, especially.
Right.
So yeah.
Once we have the matching shirts, we'll really be a team.
I just want that plate. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me for yet another session. Thanks to the chat as well for being present for another wild ride through Duskfall, even though we didn't cook anybody this time. I've been your GM, Brandon, and if I think it's only fair that we have another round of introductions as well, starting again with Mike.
Sure thing. So thank you everybody for watching and listening to Speculate. As a reminder, you can support the show at Patreon, which should be patreon.com/speculate or possibly /speculatesf. I'm sorry, I don't remember specifically. All of the money in that Patreon goes to paying our audio editor and toward kind of hosting and background costs. And we'd love to be able to, if we can bring that up a little bit, it becomes easier to increase the rate at which we release episodes, because we can keep up with being able to pay our audio editor as opposed to having to portion things out a little bit more slowly, because we value the work that Rudy Basso does for us, and we really appreciate it, and we want to make sure that he's getting properly compensated and we're not asking too much of him for not enough. So if you're in a position where you can kick in even just $1 a month to help make that a little bit easier, we really appreciate it. We will have some more special stuff for patrons throughout the rest of the year, even though this year has been very hard and made some things, it's harder to get as many things done when the world is on fire the way that it is. But it is for that reason that I'm especially grateful to this whole cast because the game has been wonderful. People can find me at michaelrunderwood.com, and my book Annihilation Aria comes out on July 21st.
Next, Jeoi.
Yes, Yoi Gawain Lin, player for Crossroads, the creature that is unfortunately not made of meat, but please tell everyone that it is in fact made of meat and very safe and not prone to panic and a good buddy to have all around if you want food, unless you're Skelly in this session. You can find me on Twitter at This Is My Design. Design is DASEIN. It's a philosophy joke and also a Hannibal pun. So yeah.
Next, Iori.
I'm Iori Kusano, and you can find me on Twitter as @IoriKusano. You can also find me on the Clarion in West Write-a-thon and sponsor me there. I am offering postcards and tarot readings and my silence.
And next, Valerie.
I'm Valerie Valdes at Valerie Valdes on Twitter, valerievaldes.com or candleandsunshine.com. And my book Prime Deceptions comes out in September. It's a sequel to Chilling Effect. And Mike and I are doing a thing at the end of July, so check us out.
And Brandon, you should shout out that game, that August game that you're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm Brandon O'Brien. You can find me almost anywhere on social media at The Rising Tides. That's TITHES. I'm a writer and game designer. I'm working on my own Forged in the Dark game called Sound Clash, which will be playtesting on this channel of Vanelleron in mid-August. Casting decisions to be announced, but I'm this close to having like a definitely established cast, and I want to be able to say so many things about the folks that I'm going to have on board. It's going to be very wild. It's going to be very punk. If you're already accustomed to how weird and off-kilter a game of Blades in the Dark can be, I'm very excited to do some even weirder and sillier stuff here. And yeah, you can find any of my other game design stuff on itch.io. That's therisingtides.itch.io. And you can find me on Twitter at The Rising Tides. And with that, perhaps we should attempt to summon Greg. I don't know what the incantation we're supposed to do in order for that to take place.
My name is enough,
I saw him
sir.
unmute.
My name is enough. Yes, I am here. I often think I start to feel more like the narrator voice in the Pigs in Space from the Muppets. You know, the story of it, or no, that was the medical one. The story of a quack who's gone to the dogs. I don't know. Anyway, maybe that's just me. But this was great as always, and yeah, I want to just quickly underline and bold and italicize with emphasis as much as I can the excitement I have for Brandon's game in mid-August. Like I said, when I got the pitch from him for it, and I had talked to him about, hey, I'd like you to do some of the stuff too. And he's like, how about this game with punk rockers fighting oppression with an I'm like, I please sign me up immediately for all of that and all the time. So I'm very excited for that. But this has been great, and I am glad, very glad to be honored to be able to host this joint Speculate Twitch event with these wonderful players and this wonderful GM. So chat, can we get some love for, did Mike say, I'm sorry, I just got here. Mike, you did say, yes, that your stuff, like you did get a chance to shout out yourself?
Yes,
okay.
I'm all good, and I shouted out the Patreon. So
okay, good. I wanted to make sure that happened. So chat, can we get some love for the wonderful players tonight and of course the wonderful GM? Everybody, this is great. I am looking forward to seeing and hearing more from you very soon. Thanks everybody. Bye for now. Okay. And that is going to do it for Blades in the Dark. And again, yeah, I know I'm super excited about it, Arudno. So again, I want to tell everyone that I'm super happy with how a lot of this stuff has been going in terms of some of the different things we've been running on here. So I'm very excited about it, and I could not be more excited for events that we've got coming up. Now, one of those events, give me 1 second, as I have a message that was sent to me. Okay. Good. Lovely. Thank you, Rock God. I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't Arv, so you know, the entire server has blown up. Instead, it was a very helpful, like, oh, here. I mean, that would be helpful too, but it'd be helpful in a kind of, oh crap sort of way. So, thank you everyone for being here, for watching this as well. Now, as a quick note, first of all, just one announcement for those who might have missed it before. You're going to hear me make this announcement a few times because, man, am I excited for it. In 2 weeks, Saturday, July 18th, we are going to have a set of author panels from many of the writers who were originally going to be a part of the Origins library. Now, I do want to emphasize that this has nothing at all to do with Origins. It's not associated with Origins in any way. This is just happening on my channel. It's just that we happen to find some of these people originally because we were talking about things in relation to Origins initially. And so we are very excited to have these folks on board. And we will have a panel, and I'll be announcing the lineups for those panels starting at around noon Eastern on Saturday the 18th very soon. But I do know the lineup right now for Saturday evening, Saturday, July 18th, the evening of Saturday, July 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We will have a special D&D event. This is going to be a adventure run by Will Sobel, who is Green Ronin's Director of Sales, Marketing, and Licensing. He is a game designer and also contributed to a certain Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. I wonder where I've heard that before. And so he is going to be DMing a campaign for Carlos Hernandez, Sarwat Chadha, Kwame Mbalia, Yoon Ha Lee, Taylor K. Mejia, and Rick Riordan, the Rick Riordan from Percy Jackson fame. They are going to be doing this D&D event, which is a big deal. It's also going to be for charity. We almost have the charity that we're going to be doing locked down, and I'll be announcing that too, and that charity is going to be great. It'll be completely in line, I think, with the sort of interests of this channel and the connections of this channel and D&D. So I'm super excited about that. And so that's going to be happening. Please spread the word about that because it's a big deal for the channel, and that's going to be happening on that Saturday after I get back from my 1 week away of vacation, so to speak, where I'm going to be away and basically off the grid from the 11th through the 17th. But I'll be back on the 18th to be able to run that, and I'm super excited about that. It'll be a great time. They're re-releasing Amalur Re-Reckoning. Holy cow. Dude, thank you. That actually, now that I know that they are re-releasing Amalur, this is news that I have not heard 7 times to this point. So I really appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, it's a little bit of an inside joke. But yes. So thank you to everyone who had a chance to watch today. Schedule-wise, we will be back. First of all, thank you to the Speculate listeners. We will be back tomorrow evening with Sod and Gromnir Grumblehammer, a Grumbler's Tales, I think it is, to Sword Coast, although I never remember the exact name, and I feel so sorry for Sod. Sorry, Sod. But anyway, that's going to be happening tomorrow night, excuse me, at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we will have Sod with us, and that's a really fun, chill kind of thing where he talks about stuff with Gromnir Grumblehammer from the Tyranny of Dragons campaign with Infinity and Beyond and Sword Coast Legends, of course. And so that's going to be happening on Monday evening. Then Tuesday, we've got stuff going on. Now, it looks like Tuesday, we may end up moving back the Star Wars Scum and Villainy because of schedule conflicts. We might have to move that back again, in which case all that means is that we would change the time of the Battle Road start time, the Gamebook illustration stream with Terry Tunes. That would get moved back to start at the normal time. So it would start at noon Eastern instead of 1 Eastern. We'd run until about 3:15 p.m. Eastern. And then at 4 p.m. over on D&D, sorry, Freudian slip, over on GOG, we will have we'll have Pen and Pixels, and we are probably going to have, there's a good chance we're going to have D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, because the rest of the Tuesdays in the month are going to be very difficult. I'm going to be away the following Tuesday. Mike is going to be away the last 2 Tuesdays in the month. So it looks like there's a good chance like you're going to get more D&D coming up on Tuesday at 4 p.m. But again, that's not a set absolutely guaranteed, but it's possible. Then we will go through Wednesday and Thursday we're off. And on Friday, just before I head off on this vacation, I will have some D&D with Infinity and Beyond Curse of Strahd, a rare Friday night stream of D&D with I&B. And then I will be gone, as I said, from the 11th through the 17th. But again, remember, for those of you wondering, my gosh, will Arv's channel be dark? It will not be, because we will have Emberwind going on. We'll have community D&D going on during that time. And we may even have, a little birdie has told me that we might even have someone might be streaming during the time that I'm gone that isn't one of those two things, because that could actually happen. So the channel will not be dark, but I will not be participating from the 11th through the 17th. But then, as I said, I'll be back on the 18th for that amazing D&D event plus author panel. So it's going to be really cool. So, yes. So, but I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today and remind you all about ways to support us here. Please follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, the Discord with !ArvCord, the Twitter with !ArvTweets. Please find our website at arvanellarun.com. On the financial side, you can always check out !Arv shop for the merchandise area. The Patreon is !ArvTreon. That really does make a difference for the channel, so please support it if you can. And that sub button right below the video window, they changed the place where the button was, right below the video window, so you can jump on board and sub or resub to the channel. That always makes a difference as well. You can get custom sub badges for yourself and custom emotes that you can use here, there, and everywhere across Twitch. Also, I want to note, again, the Speculate Patreon is really helpful too, especially since this is a joint Speculate Twitch event that we did this evening. So please consider jumping on board that as well. That makes it possible for us to pay our wonderful editor, Rudy Basso, what he deserves. And it also gives us a chance to put some more money back into the show and do more of these things. And so again, support over on that Patreon, which gives you access as well to certain exclusive shows that we do not put out for sort of general consumption. That is all happening also. So I'm very excited about Speculate and Twitch and this little joint venture that we've got going for many of these campaigns, but hopefully you can jump on board and support also. Lastly, I want to mention the publishing stuff. Icarus and Jelinek for my graphic novels, which are coming out. July 17th is the last day to pre-order them, so please jump on board now. We are in the midst of doing cover proofs. Everything else is finished, and the books just came out so great, and I'm so excited, and I have to do some big event about them because I'm super excited about them. And there's something riding on them too, that they actually sort of succeed well in the market. So anyway, those of you who supported me on that, you will be getting copies of this, and I'm so grateful to everybody who has supported it thus far. Exclamation Point Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. Again, sales have been really good on this over on Drive-Thru RPG, and I am coming close actually to earning out the advance that I got, which is pretty sweet because it means they've paid out the advance and they then start paying royalties. And everyone likes that because it means that there's lots of copies that are being sold. And so that's great. And you're going to get a chance to see this in print too, because they are almost done with the print proofs on this. And so that hopefully is coming out soon as well. We'll have more details on the release of the print, but you can get it right now in PDF form by typing an exclamation point library. An exclamation point Greyshade KS, again, that's my Greyshade Kickstarter. More details about that will be coming on August 15th. We will have a decision by then as to whether the Kickstarter for Greyshade will be run this fall, October, or whether it'll be run February of 2021. I would like it to be this year, but it's possible because of the pandemic, it's got to be in February. And if it has to be in February, it has to be. But there's a lot going on with Greyshade KS. The Greyshade Kickstarter is one of the biggest projects I've ever been involved in. A board game, an RPG, 3 novels of mine, and even an audiobook by one Mr. Trendane Sparks. All of those are part of this, and some other little surprises around the edges. It has the potential to be a really big deal, and so we're really trying to push it a big thing at that moment. Yes, I will be announcing that they might announce the announcement for the announcement. I know, I want to just announce it. You have no idea what it's like to suffer under the equivalent of an NDA, even when it's my own project. And then the last thing that I want to mention, of course, is exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. We talked quite a bit about that, and I know that Brandon mentioned it a couple of times also. Even during the time that we're running this game, even during the time that we are dealing with what we're dealing with, we hope that you will have a chance to have felt some joy, some laughter. And I want to remind everybody that when we live in the real world, it's also important to recognize that those things don't go away because we're having fun here. It is important to have fun. You cannot do nothing but spend your entire life devoted to one cause after another where you're never able to just take a breath, a second. But it's precisely about giving other people the same right to breathe, giving Black lives the right to breathe that they should have had already centuries hence. That's the kind of thing which we are focused on here. And I really feel like we have an opportunity. I feel like the narrative is changing here. I feel like we are in a moment, a historical moment where things can change. And there are protests to this day, to this moment, that are going on outside in the world, not just in America, but in the world. And that suggests that we have a chance to do something here. And we need to make sure we jump on top of that. So as far as we do that in a community, we try to run things the right way. We try to support things the way that we can, including by supporting Black Lives Matter. So please check that resource, blacklivesmatter.carrd.co. It is a really good resource which has lots of information about how to talk to kids about racism, to talk about allyship, about what you need to learn so that you don't have to go on Twitter and go, what do I need to know about this? You can learn it by reading this resource, and of course resources to actually donate, places like the Innocence Project and stuff like that, which are extremely valuable also. So please make sure that you don't forget about that in the midst of being all the lovely people that you are. All right, now that I've talked to you for a whole bunch, I'm going to close up shop for the evening. We are going to do a raid, however, and I think I have a person that is going to be raided. Perhaps a certain individual known as Mr. Rock God may have given me some information about that. I may just have had some little bit of insight into this. So when we do a raid, it's really simple, and you're quite right, Arudinel. 100% right. That's right, my friend. Quite right. If you are not a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvonauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, lowercase Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID. If you are a sub, you're going to do this. The Arvonauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid, Twitch, uppercase R, lowercase AID, and then ARVANE, uppercase R, lowercase OAR. And actually, I just realized that we need to change that command because it's supposed to be Arvany Hype, Twitch Raid, and then Arvany Roar, not Arvany Hype again. But anyway, you guys know the drill. So go over there and drop a bunch of those Fifi emotes when you get over there, because that's how we do things downtown, as they say. I want to thank everyone who was here tonight. First of all, thanks to Arudinel, to Rock God. I know Jedi Burner was here earlier as well. Thank you to my wonderful mods. Really, the best ones in the business. Thank you to my subs, Arudinel, Rock God, Critchwitch, Mrs. Dunsel, and Trishy Metz. Thanks so much for being you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much to the subs. Thank you as well to the Patreon supporters who were in this list also. And thank you to my viewers, another TT viewer, Commander Root, Dinu. Thank you to Kirtland. Thank you to Lurks. Thank you to the Rising Tides. Thank you again, Brandon. Thank you to Thicker. Thank you to Turbo Tango. Thank you again, Mike. I appreciate it, my friend. Thank you to you, Christensen, and of course, Uncle Elias. Great to see all of you there. Now, stick around for the raid, and I will see you lovely people back here tomorrow evening for Sod and some Gromnir Grumblehammer. Until then, Black Lives Matter, and in this particular case, Crossroads matters as well. It's always something with Crossroads, but I'm excited for that campaign to continue. Everyone be good to each other, and have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.